Hello there. Welcome to the Look Ahead show for August 8th, 2021. I am joined by Andrew Augustus. Andrew, how's it going?
Great. It's a good little weekend day. I'm liking this little new style on the weekends. It's a nice little break.
Yeah, it's we had 3 days off. The last show was on Thursday, so we didn't have a show Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Not too much has really transpired these past couple of days in regards to like news or the show world. There was that I don't know if you saw this, the Athletic interviewed O.J. Simpson.
Yeah, it's always interesting when you see that. And of course, he doesn't want to go to LA because he doesn't want to accidentally sit up next to the real killer. I think it's a classic OJ for sure. It's going to be interesting to see. I think with everything kind of going on, one, like you even said before, and we all know shows on the road. I'm most excited if Mike's going to be there tomorrow, and because this is really his first chance to kind of truly respond to the what's it called?
Sensitive Mike.
The sensitivity of everything. So I'm curious to see if this kind of I've been calling him like new blind Mike since he's come back. He's got a little more spunk to him, so it's going to be curious to see if he actually goes all in and is like, hey, Dave's more sensitive than I am, and we'll see how far he takes it.
Yeah, we'll see, because I believe the plan is tomorrow for me, Dave, and Mike to be in studio in Watertown, and then Kirk's either going to call in or FaceTime in, or we'll figure it out. I'm not entirely sure. I saw Dave tweeted out something that was kind of out there. He said the requirement is that tomorrow's show will be live. He didn't say where it needed to be live. So I don't know if he's alluding that it might be live on some other place, not on YouTube, which would be I'm not entirely sure where he's thinking.
Does this mean I have to go to that Play the Hits live and find that, download all that stuff?
Yeah, that Mixcloud thing he does, but we'll see about that. Yeah, no, but I'm excited for tomorrow's show. Yeah, like you said, I do think it's going to be, this is kind of Mike's first time where he can kind of talk about address the allegations, I guess, of him being sensitive. There were a couple things mentioned on Thursday's show that Mike was like, I believe he tweeted out that he's been, doing really good mentally, and that it was a surprise that people thought he was, has been acting so sensitive recently. Dave obviously has been acting very sensitive recently, so we'll see. I think Monday's show will kind of determine who is the king sensitivity right now between Dave and Mike.
Get yourself some blankets for the whoever it is, and some safe space for whoever's the most sensitive for that, for sure.
Yes. So the big thing is the audio quality of tomorrow's show is I don't want to say it's up in the air. Kirk says it's going to sound like shit. He even suggested people just skip this week of shows, which I wouldn't do. I'm sure it's going to be, even like Kirk said, even if it sounds like shit, that's still funny. If it sounds like shit for a couple days. I wouldn't expect these to be the longest shows ever. I would probably say they're probably going to be in the hour to hour and a half range. If I had to guess, this is just me pulling out of my ass, but I can imagine that, just with Kirk being on the road and it being 9 o'clock over in Iowa time, that these shows will probably get done a little bit sooner than they have been recently. But yeah, I'm looking forward to see what magic Colin can pull off to make it so Kirk doesn't have the lisp. Do you think we get the return of the lisp tomorrow?
Oh God, yeah. If I was a betting man, I'd almost put the house money on this, just because something's going to go wrong. It's either going to be the lisp or it's going to be just a random cutout in the middle, and it's just going to drop. And it could be one of those things that I see, like there could be a point where Kirk just gets so pissed off. He's like, you know what? Fuck this. I'm done. And kind of goes out on the side of it. But the bar has been set. We remember, for a road show, the bar has been set for the bottom with you and Kirk. So we know what a very poor sounding show quality is. That's the bar that Cullinane has to surpass. And we've had some good ones on the road when the guys have been traveling with the old case with Steve. So it's going to be interesting to see. I think I understand Cullinane's point where if it wasn't live, it would sound a lot better. But Kirk being Kirk, it's Kirk's show, so it's going to be the way he wants it. So I'm excited to kind of see it all play out. And of course, what that's going to bring up is going to be something's going to go wrong. Kirk's going to get mad at Dave, and it's going to be back and forth between them two. And I think Mike has if we talk about sensitivity, Mike has a good chance to kind of be out and open of the less sensitive of the two. So I think this is a day for Dave. It's set up to be him as the most sensitive, I feel.
See, you said something, and I think it's going to be the actual opposite. So you said something's going to go wrong, and Kirk's going to get upset at Dave. I could see something going wrong, and Dave gets upset at Kirk because Kirk kind of set this up to sound and to be the way it's going to be this week. Because if anything, it sounds like Kirk really doesn't care about how the show sounds this week. He's like, hey, listen, I'm working on the case season 2. I could have taken this entire week off from KMS, but instead, so I would consider this kind of like a bonus week of KMS, one that we really probably shouldn't be getting, but Kirk's doing it, out of the generosity of his heart. But it sounds like Dave is definitely more on the show needs to sound good. If we're going to do it, we should do it right. So I could see something, fucking up and Dave freaking out. That's how I think tomorrow's going to go. It's
good to have that good sound quality, but at the end of the day, the show's Kirk's, and Kirk's it's all derives around what he wants in his vision of it. And God forbid, this could all be kind of it's a good little plan, I think. Cause at the end of the day, if I'm in Dave's shoes as the producer at this point, he's made his case very clear. And at what point do you go, you're the boss. I'm going to do what you say. And I don't think Dave should get mad if it doesn't sound good. Cause he's done his part as producer saying, you need this, we got to do this, we got to do this to make it sound great. Kirk doesn't want to do that, but he still wants to put on the live show because that's what he feels is more important at the time. However it may be, it's his show. So I don't think Cullinane should get mad at him. It's at this point, it's Kirk's call. So I can understand you wanting it to sound better, but if Dave goes at Kirk over it, it's just gonna, again, the listener's gonna win.
Yeah,
on that. So
I agree.
He does, but I think it'd be a dumb move for him to do it.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think that Dave should get mad. That's not me saying. I do think he will get upset at the sound quality tomorrow. I don't think Kirk will care too much. But I can imagine Dave kind of getting stressed out and freaking out a little bit. So we'll see that. But yeah, no, there's also been a couple things going around. I saw on Twitter that there's been Fartgate or whatever. There was a clip going around of someone sounded like someone farted in the studio. There's been people been blaming Quantum Week Chris. I see Quantum Week Chris, blamed me. I know for a fact it wasn't me. But we'll get to the bottom of that, and because if you hear that sound, it does sound. It's it's within 10 seconds of each other, but they're two very distinct sounding farts. So
it's definitely someone did pass gas in there. If Quantum Week Chris was so quick to point the blame to you, I mean that does it honestly it goes back to when the Barstool pen announcement happened, and Big Cat and Kirk were talking about trying to find who the rat was, and we all thought it could have been Big Cat because he was so adamant of finding who the rat was. So it's one of those situations that it could be Chris who's just like, hey, it was you, Justin. Because I mean, at the end of the day, you kind of into that punching bag point. It's like, if something goes wrong, you can blame Justin.
Well, yeah, so it's someone farts. It must be the big guy who must be sitting there. I will say though, maybe it was, I don't know, the chair that I sit in. If you get off of it for a couple seconds and you sit back down, it does sound like you're ripping ass, but I'm not entirely sure that was that. So we'll get into it. And I think that about does it. I don't know if you saw any other stories that you think might be covered tomorrow. I mean, the Olympics is over now. No one really.
USA wins again. Most gold and most overall medals.
Damn straight.
And we did that without the drug testing like the cheating Russians did. So
that's great. We also did that without Megan Rapinoe and that gang. And so they got was
we didn't get the women's gold that we were expecting in soccer, but at least the men's and women's basketball team showed up, so good for them on that front. But and then also I think I'm hoping this week that we do get a trivia update to find out when the team of Rico, Pat, and Kirk take on whoever's their next opponent. I mean, I love the Dozens trivias. It's always entertaining to watch it. I do love the dynamic that Pat comes in. It would be cool, I think, if we see a little more involvement from Pat, because even on that day when everyone called him, when you guys kept calling over and over, kind of figuring out what team Rico would be on, I think there is some potential that he would be a very good little another piece into the world in addition to your big cats. And even thinking now, it's one person we really haven't heard from much on the show would be even KFC. So KFC, is another one that I think could come up on. But you got a power team with Rico and Kirk and Pat, so I can't wait to see who's the next person they're going to take down. And I think in their next game, they're going to win by 5 points, and it's just going to be like a runaway, just because Rico is that much of a better player than Trista was.
Yeah. So, well, I mean, you say that, but also Trista put on an incredible performance in her first game. So,
I mean, it helped out. Was it Trista or was it Google?
Yeah. So, I mean, if she plays like if she was going to play like she played in game 1, I mean, she would be by far the best dozen player like of all time. So
yeah,
we'll see how that goes. Thank you, Andrew, for joining me, and I will talk to everyone with